Hi everyone, my name is Hosanna Gurma and I'm currently majoring in cybersecurity. I've always been interested in how technology and law connects to it, especially when it comes to innovation, intellectual property, and fair competition. One case that really shows how powerful that connection can be is the Apple versus Samsung patent lawsuit. It's one of the biggest legal battles in modern tech history, lasting several years and changing the way companies protect their designs. So this lawsuit started back in 2011 when Apple accused Samsung of copying the design and features of the iPhone and iPad. Apple claimed that Samsung's Galaxy smartphones and tablets basically borrowed the whole iPhone's look and feel. That included its rounded corners and its smooth black bezel and even its simple icon layout. In 2012, however, a US jury agreed with Apple and awarded them for about $1.05 billion in damages, saying that Samsung had copied multiple design and software features. But the story didn't end there. Over the next several years, the case went through a lot of appeals and retrials as both sides argued how much Samsung really owed and which patents were really violated. Then in 2016, the US Supreme Court stepped in. They said that the damages shouldn't automatically cover the value of the entire smartphone, but only the parts that actually infringed on Apple's design patents. Finally, in 2018, after 7 long years, Samsung agreed to pay Apple $539 million. That settlement officially closed the case and left a big mark on how design patents are handled in the tech industry. To research this case, I used several reliable sources. I started with the official court documents from the United States District Court for the Northern District of California, since that's where the case was first heard. Then I read the news article from sites like Reuters, The Verge, and BBC News, which helped me piece together the timeline and understand the updates over time. I also looked at peer-reviewed journals, especially the Journal of Intellectual Property Law and Practice, to see how legal scholars viewed the case. And finally, I watched a few educational videos that summarized the Supreme Court's involvement and explained the case in plain language. Putting all of those together gave me a good balance between legal accuracy and the real-world understanding. The main issue in this case was whether Samsung actually violated Apple's design and utility patents. Apple said that Samsung basically copied them, like they copied the rounded corners, the layout of icons, and the overall minimalist design. They also claimed Samsung took features like tap to zoom and bounce back scrolling. Samsung argued that Apple's patents were too broad, that no company should be able to own basic shapes or functional designs. They said Apple was trying to block competition and that many of these features were standard across modern smartphones. So it really came down to the question, can a company claim ownership of a design that is also functional? The final ruling ended up favoring Apple, but the amount of damages changed multiple times throughout the years. The jury found that Samsung had indeed infringed Apple's design patents, and Samsung paid $539 million in 2018. However, the Supreme Court's decision in 2016 made a big difference. It ruled that damages should only apply to the parts that infringed the design, not the entire device. This ruling set a really important precedent for future design patents cases because it balanced protecting creativity without going overboard on the punishment. Personally, I think the court's final decision was mostly fair. I do believe that companies like Apple deserve protection when they spend so much time and money developing something original. The iPhone wasn't just another phone, it changed how people interacted with technology. But I also agree with the Supreme Court's clarification. Making Samsung pay for the entire value of the phone, even if only a few parts were copied, would have been excessive. If I were the jury, I would have ruled favor of Apple too. I would have supported the idea of limiting damages to the specific components that violated patents. As The Verge put in, this case redefined how design patents are valued by focusing on fairness instead of total product penalties. This lawsuit had major effects on the tech industry. It showed how important intellectual property rights are, but also that they have limits. If patents are too broad, they can actually hold back creativity and stop other companies from improving technology. For the tech world, this case was just a reminder for all of us that innovation and competition need to exist together. Protecting designs is important, but so is also giving room for another company to innovate and build upon existing ideas. In the end, the Apple versus Samsung case wasn't just about two companies fighting. It was about defining what originality really means in the digital age. It reshaped how courts view design patents, and it pushed the entire industry to focus on true innovation rather than imitation. Thank you.